Make sure that these little tips aren't seen from the top of the upper. So what I'm going to do first is grab an awl and open this seam up. This way I can start to just open it here. The glue I have is maybe a little bit too strong for this process. Rubber cement is like perfect for this little back seam. It's easier to open it up. Okay, here. And again, this should be nice and skived. If you do have a skiving machine or access to that, you can skive these edges and they'll lay down nice and flat. All right, one thing that I like to do is take the last at this point, sit the last this way, sit this pattern over the back of the last and kind of line it up this way and open this seam on the last so it keeps the curve. You don't want to flatten this out on the, you don't want to open the seam flat on the table. Let me see. So I'm just going to kind of start to open that seam. And I can't stress to you how much better it is if you're able to skive this back seam, then you're just not going to get that bump at the end. Okay, so I'm folding these down. I'm going to tuck this corner back. I'm not folding it straight back. If you fold it straight back, you're going to see those little edges, and we don't want to see those. So I'm going to also fold this, tuck this back. Again, this is making a lot of extra bulk because it is not skived. You can see the thickness of the leather here, which I don't want. This ideally should be at 0 and just fold nice and flat against the last. Okay, so if you've done that on the last, you can see that it's kind of going to keep the curve, and when we flip this over, you're going to have a nice back seam, not over hammered where threads are popping out. Okay, and the only thing you can see here is one thread. It's because all of this is so horribly thick. If it was nice and flat, all of this would not stress, it wouldn't stress that piece. But right now, with all this thickness, it's really the best I can do in this situation. So I'm going to hammer it out a bit more. But at this point, I think you can take it from here. You'll know what to do. You're going to apply some adhesive, ideally rubber cement, here along the top line, right? And also here along the top line, all the way around. And then you're going to take your lining, apply rubber cement here below your allowance line. So you're going to put the rubber cement below there, or your double stick tape below here, below your allowance line. And then you're going to fit the lining inside of the upper. Once you have those two things together, I always like to line up my back seam first here in the back, and then work my way around. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some rubber cement and then stick those two pieces together, and I'll pick up the video after that. All right, so now that I have my adhesive here on the top line, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and get ready to attach this. All right, I'm going to put my lining inside my upper. I like to line up the back seam first. So I'm lining up the center seam with the little notch that I've cut out here in the back of the center of the pocket. And then I'm starting to line this, lay this around here. And I'm usually not pressing it really hard at this point. I just want to see how things are lining up. Okay. So just laying it right to the white line here. Taking your time, laying it right to the white line. And you just do some adjusting. So I'm just lightly pressing it at this point. Okay. Lightly pressing this here.
Daddy, I made this to put on your shoes.
Okay. Doing a little adjusting. Okay. Adjust this again, but now it's getting in here to where I want it to be. And this may happen, so we're doing this one time through. I'm not liking how this is lining up exactly for me. I've got some excess lining here. So I think I'm going to open this seam and I'm going to take some of the material away from this lining. So I'm going to open this seam and I'm probably going to take out, because judging by the wrinkle that I have here, and I might have to do that. I'm going to try one more time to line this up and see if it's going to do what I want to do. If you ever come out where your lining is bigger, then you would open a seam and you would take out 5 or 6 or 7 mm and put it back together to make sure it fits inside. But actually, I think I was just not lining it up right, because now it's fitting in there nicely the way that I want it to. So I'm not going to open the seam. So you can see it's flat around here, and that's what we want.